Alright, in this video we're going to talk about complex numbers. A complex number is any number that can be written of the form ax plus bi. And in this ax plus bi, a and b are both real numbers. And I is the imaginary constant, where we should remember that the square root of -1 is equal to I. So that's what the I is. The real number a is the real part. And the real number b is the imaginary part. And it's going to be the imaginary part because it has that I attached to it. We're going to do a couple things with complex numbers. The first is going to be adding and subtracting, and that's just as simple as combining like terms. So just like we would combine like terms with x's and x squareds and everything, we're going to combine like terms with complex numbers. So let's just look at a couple real quick examples with those. 7 minus 3i plus 4 plus 5i's. We have 7 and 4 is going to give us 11. Negative 3 and 5 is going to give us 2i. Now we do have to be a little bit careful when we are subtracting. We have to make sure that we distribute that negative sign through the set of parentheses. So when we're looking at this one, we're really looking at 2 minus I minus 8 minus 3i. So we want to distribute that negative through, so 2 minus 8 is going to be negative 6, negative I minus 3i, negative 4i. So as long as we remember that we need to distribute that negative, addition and subtraction, no problem. When we go to multiply, we need to use our distributive property. We're not going to call this FOIL, because that's a dirty four-letter F word. We're going to use the distributive property. And then we need to remember that I squared is equal to -1 when we simplify. So when we look at this and we distribute, so 2 times 5 is going to be 10, 2 times negative I is negative 2i, 3i times 5 is 15i, and 3i times negative I is negative 3i squared. Now, when we're looking at what we have written now, this is not a complex number because complex numbers, remember, are of the form a plus bi. And we have an I squared and we have two other i's. So what we want to do is combine those and give a positive 13i. But then we want to think about this negative 3i squared over here. We know that I squared is really equal to -1. So this term over here is actually going to be -3 times -1, which is going to be a positive 3. So we're looking at 13 plus 13i for that problem. So we need to simplify our I squareds and we need to combine our like terms with the i's here. So one more little bit of notes to look at, one more example, and then we'll call it quits, make it a short video. When writing a complex number in standard form, so we didn't really define standard form before, but that's just that a plus bi. We may need to multiply by the complex conjugate, which can be found by taking the opposite operation. So taking the opposite operation. So if we had something like, we'll just keep it general, a plus bi, the complex conjugate would be a minus bi. And this actually works both ways. So if we had a minus bi, it turns into a plus bi for the complex conjugate. So what we want to do is look at a problem here, write 5 plus I, write 5 plus I over 2 minus 3i in standard form. So what we want to do is multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. So the conjugate of the denominator would be 2 plus 3i. Now we're going to want to multiply by 2 plus 3i in the numerator and the denominator. So if you think about it, 2 plus 3i divided by 2 plus 3i is really just 1. So we're multiplying by 1. So we're going to change the look of this thing without actually changing the value of this thing. It'd be like multiplying by 4 over 4. It's going to change the look but not actually change the value. So we're going to distribute on the top and on the bottom. So we're going to get 10 plus, we're going to get 15, and then another 2, so plus 17i, and then plus 3i squared. And if we chose our conjugate correctly, we should get rid of all of the i's in our denominator. So we're going to get 4. This would be plus 6i minus 6i, so those are going to cancel, and then minus 9i squared. Now we have two I squareds in our problem that we need to take care of. We have one here and we have one here. So our numerator, this plus 3i, is really going to turn into negative 3. This negative 9i squared is really going to turn into plus 9. So we're looking at 10 minus 3 is 7 plus 17i over 4 plus 9 is 13. Now technically speaking, this is not in standard form, because remember our standard form needs to be this, and right now we don't really have that look, so we need to go one step farther and make it 7 over 13 plus 17i over 13. So here our a is 7/13, our b is 17/13. So that's going to do it for this video. We'll see you in the next one.